Step outside.
Hey everyone. Hello, and thank you all for joining Indigenous Ways Wisdom Circle this evening. We would like to take this time to acknowledge the traditional owners and ancestors of these tribal lands, Ogapoge Owinge, also known as Santa Fe. And thank you all for blessing us this evening. And we would like to acknowledge Black History Month, February this month. And we are so grateful this evening to have our brother, local brother, Raashan Ahmad, who himself is a father, a musician, a poet, a massive community worker, and a DJ. He has released 6 critically acclaimed albums, which has taken him to over 35 countries around the world. He loves the intersectionality of arts and community and is passionate about equity and access to the arts. So everyone, please welcome Raashan Ahmad. Woo! Thank you so much for joining us, brother. This is really an exciting time for us because we've been wanting to get to know you for quite a long time now. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself before we kick off our questions?
Sure. And thank you so much for having me, firstly. It's really nice to be in this space. I've loved getting to know you, and it's cool to be doing this. So thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm Raashan. I've been living here in Santa Fe for about 10 years. Before that, I was in Oakland, California. Before that, I was in Boston, Massachusetts. Before that, I was in Brooklyn, New York. Before that, I was in Los Angeles, California. Before that, I was in New Jersey, where I was born, where all my family is from. Um, I grew up mostly in Mid-City, LA. My father was a DJ. My mother did all sorts of wonderful things, including being a hairstylist and an X-ray tech. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough for the last close to 2 decades to be able to travel the world. My career has been based mostly outside of the United States, but I love the intersection of art and community and activism. So usually when I do a show, I'll do a show, and then I'll go to a refugee camp and do some sort of workshop. I do a show, and then I'm in a youth detention center or a community school or a neighborhood. I love intersecting art and music and the culture of hip hop um, all around the world. And now, most currently, in my own community here, where I get to have a wonderful time playing with a bunch of wonderful people and making magical things happen around creativity and art.
That's wonderful. So when you were a little guy, did you have a lot of like influence, like stimulation? Did you get into the arts along with music? Did you do visual, 3D, 2D? I mean, what really took off this intersectionality, obviously, that started a long time ago?
Yeah, it's always hard to figure out where things started because it just was, it just like just in my neighborhood and my family, there were people who were my older brother was breakdancing and my father was playing mixtapes from his friends who are also DJs. There was art in my neighborhood from all the murals that were around. So yeah, I don't remember where a start happened because I was always kind of just like rapping down the street with my brother to the beat, or like just running around. It just was. So it just kind of always surrounded. I didn't really understand that it was a, I don't know, a career, I guess. And more, I'm understanding what all that training was. But yeah, it's just the culture of like what we do. We just are artists and creatives without saying those words.
So when that pivot, I don't know if it was a pivot, an inflection, if it happened, when it happened, when you decided to actually make a living at this and do this to be able to make it work for you, other than just doing that creative spirit of it all, but to make it work. When did that happen and how did that happen and what got you into it?
Yeah, it happened around, I'd say, maybe around the early 2000s. I was working at this place called Copy Central where I was delivering paper. I had a little van in Berkeley, next to UC Berkeley. I'd deliver like little mailers to the classes who would get all these things printed out. And I just remember during this time, I was living in a big house with my band, 10 to 20 people, depending on the time, we're like kind of all in there. And this was around the time where there was a really big independent movement in the Bay Area. The Bay Area always has this kind of, this not only creative, but like a revolutionary mindset. So there was this whole thing about rejecting major labels and going independent. So there was this big in underground hip hop, there was this big scene for, independent, going independent. And so there was all these people who started selling their tapes in front of Amoeba Records and Rasputin Records in Berkeley on Telegraph Avenue. And, I don't know, something told me one day, I was like, I have to try this. I think I'm young enough to say I don't have any kids, I don't have any real, responsibilities. So let me like go full forward with this. And so I walked into my job. I told him that I had to quit. And I went home and I made a mixtape and I went and I sold it on Telegraph Avenue and I made my rent. Rent was $300, if that. Um, and that was the beginning. That was the last kind of job until my new role as executive director, which is wild. But that's how it started, where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this to pay my rent.
That sounds like you took a serious jump and into the great unknown. And so now that we're talking about your music, let's have a listen to one of your songs.
Great.
Ain't got no home, can't shake the blues. Ain't got no money, ain't got no use. Ain't got no work, ain't got no cheddar. Got no umbrella for stormy weather. Ain't got no schooling, ain't got no coaching. Ain't got no ticket, I ain't got no mother. Ain't got no love, ain't got no name. Ain't got no friends, ain't that a shame? But what I got, what I got, what I got, what I got, what I got. I got my God, got my head, got my brains, got my ears, got my eyes, got my nose, got my mouth, I got my smile, got my tongue, got my chin, got my neck, I got my soul, got my heart, got my back, got myself. How about that? Life, hey, I got life. Life, I got life. Hey, life, I got life. Life, I got life. Life that I live, got a lot to give, a lot that is. It turns down a pot to piss, a lot to bliss. How I'm an optimist with all the jest mayhem is so amazing. My celebration to every AM, fortified live with the incantation of my similar vibes to fly. The inability to feel every will never be I.
When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible. We are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world.
Hey, good stuff. Right on. That's happening. I like the message. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing. Really appreciate
Indeed.
that.
That actually has to go to, that's kind of an interpretation of Nina Simone. Nina Simone is one of my She Rose, one of my favorite artists, so that's an interpretation of one of her songs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right on. Thank you for saying that. I love Nina Simone myself. She's got some uh, vocals that are comparable to. I think Elena's been compared to her with her vocals. So, what's your overall message for your songs? What do you hope to accomplish?
You know, what I hope to accomplish is to touch folks in the way that I was touched by music, particularly, um, I was growing up in mid-city LA amidst like, the Reagan era of, the crack era, the gangs era in Los Angeles. And, when I first heard some of the early hip hop, like Public Enemy saying "Fight the Power," or NWA saying "F the Police," or KRS-One saying "You Must Learn," talking about Black people in Africa who were kings and queens. Growing up in a public school where my history started at slavery, it was such a revolution to hear and to learn through music. And what I love most about it is a lot of the music I was just listening to because I like the beat. I was bopping around just listening, and then maybe the fourth or fifth time I'm singing "Fight the Power," and I'm like, "Fight what power? What does that even mean?" And I love the way that music you can have such like just good feelings about it, and then there's a message inside of it. So I really love, having music that is just good to listen to, but also has some sort of either message or just feeling or some expression, because it's what I really love about the receiving and hearing music myself, so and feeling it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love your message. It's people. I've been hearing hope bands since I was a child on a reservation too, and hope bands are great. But then when the show's over and the band goes, and the devastation and the economy is still there the way it is, it's like how how do artists, performers, musicians get innovative about leaving some kind of sustainable seeds for people to be able to jump out of that and realize they have choices through the creative process that requires willingness, and creativity and discipline and all that kind of good stuff that I don't think a lot of people, including myself, wanted to hear when I was young. I wanted to just snap my fingers and boom, I'd be on, with the band, but that's not how it works out. We got to practice. So how did you end up in Santa Fe? That's what I want to know.
I used to, I've always taken road trips out here for years before I moved here. I just love the Southwest, particularly Santa Fe. The sky here is just, everyone here, I always say, the people, you just feel it, and everyone can feel whatever it is that's here, right? The energy or whatever you want to call it. But um, we were living in Oakland, and public schools, the tech wave that came from San Francisco really raised the rents in Oakland, and a lot of the musicians and artists started getting pushed out. Schools were really hard to good schools were hard to come by, so we started homeschooling and unschooling our kids, and ended up renting a house during in the winter sometime off of Highway 14 in Santa Fe, just for like a couple of weeks, right? Because we just like had the time. And we were out there, and it was snowing, and then the sun would come out, then it started raining, there were bunny rabbits. This Santa Fe was doing what it does, just putting on this beautiful show. And my career had basically taken off overseas. Like all of my label, my management, everything was based in Paris. So I just needed to live near an airport. And so we were like, well, if we can live anywhere, where would we want to live? And it was Santa Fe. And so we ended up settling here, which has been really, really just a blessing.
We are so blessed to have you, Raashan. We are so grateful you're here. So we went to an opening last Friday where you announced and gave some articulation about vital spaces. Can you tell us about that so we can learn more about what to expect and how to spread the word and get other people involved?
Sure. So one of the the beautiful things, I love how life just switches you when you don't even know it's coming. I over the pandemic, I ended up, it's a longer story, but becoming an executive director of a nonprofit arts organization, which is completely separate than anything I've ever done in my whole life. But it has been so wonderful, and so a lot of things to learn this. So I've been on this path for about 3 years, and one of the things we do is we give artists and creatives, particularly artists of color, local emerging artists, folks who aren't necessarily part of the Santa Fe art scene, um, a place to showcase their work. And until this point, we've only had physical spaces for mostly visual artists, but nothing for performing artists. But recently we just got a theater. It's going to be about a 220 seat theater that's in the middle of Santa Fe, and we're doing construction on it, but it'll be opening in some months. But it'll be our first place for performing artists, so we'll be able to do music and comedy and dance and spoken word and poetry and storytelling, and we'll be able to do internships and accelerators for all kind of folks to come and practice. Really excited to just have a place, but more importantly, a place for community to gather and feel welcome and feel seen and feel included in a way that isn't necessarily extractive and is comfortable. So that's what we're up to. We finally got to announce it. We've been working on it for a long time, but I'm really, really excited about this theater. And you can go to vitalspaces.org if you'd like and see kind of what we're up to. More information is there, but it's really exciting for our organization, but I think for our city, because yeah, it just we need it. It's needed here.
We definitely do need that. And in this way, with the way you're talking about it, it feels like competition is good. Competition is good because the other theaters, the other entertainment spaces, a lot of them were there Friday night at your opening downtown. And I was really pleased to see one of the major theater directors saying, I asked him, I said, so how do you feel having this theater opening up? And his answer was, well, when you're in a community and you have a CVS on this side of the street and then a Walgreens opens on the other side, it just gives the community more options. And I really thought that was a really beautiful, beautiful answer. So you were talking about the nonprofit and having space for artists to have a low price for paying rent for studio space or being able to get in there for free. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. It's so yeah, our studio artists, we have artists that have we have studio spaces where artists can come 24 hours a day and just have a space to create their art. Some housing prices have risen. It's really hard for artists to not only make a living, but have a place in their home to actually do their art. And so we have some of these spaces, and yeah, we charge $0 to $100. A lot of the folks just do trade. We have a community art closet where we give away art supplies to maybe, I don't know, 200 to 400 people a month will come to this monthly event. And a lot of our artists will come volunteer for that. If they play music, if they do, something with students, they teach their art, at a desk and do like a little pop-up demonstration of what they do. Whatever, it's just, we try to make sure we're just in collaboration with our community and make it as accessible as possible. The whole thing is accessibility, right? We just want to, make sure that folks who don't have the entrance and the bridge can have one. And so whether it's that or we do art markets where, if you come and sell at our art market, we don't charge you a booth fee. We try to make sure that we don't take any fees. We try to just make sure everybody can participate in all parts of the city.
Tell us a little bit more about this art market stuff. Like, where can we go to see that and how can we get involved?
Sure. Yeah. So we have these pop-up art markets in a number of spaces. Sometimes we have it at our community art closet. Sometimes we're at the Farmers Market Pavilion. We're actually be in Cathedral Park downtown this summer. And we usually put a call out for artists. We let folks know who wants to come. And then, we depending on how many spaces we get, we just fill up the amount of space. And if you follow along, we have a newsletter that we usually send out. And if you go to our website, you can see the sign up for our newsletter. And that's when we kind of send a call out and say, okay, we're doing an art market. who wants to join. So that's, that's what we do.
Well, let's definitely get that access on this screen so all of us can do a screenshot of it or take a picture of it. And as soon as we get off this show, we can straight away join your newsletter. I want to be a part of that. I want to be in the know because I am in Santa Fe. So thank you. So I wanted to ask you a question about Black History Month. As an Indigenous woman, how does it make you feel to have Indigenous Month designated for the month of February annually? And how does this make you feel?
To have Indigenous Month?
Black History Month, sorry. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel all kinds of all kinds of ways. It's it's one of those I guess we take what we can get. I mean, the funniest thing is Black history is American history, is world history, right? It's not, it doesn't really make any sense that, this is the history that we should be taught regardless. A lot of the Black History Month folks that they profile, usually you get the Martin Luther King and the Rosa Parks, and this is American history. It should be taught year round. That said, having an amplification for folks who maybe are just not, I also realize that I'm in my skin and my body with my experience. So this thing is really obvious and really in front of my face. And I know for some who just aren't really as connected to Black culture and Black history, it might be nice for them to have more of an application for them to see something that they rarely get to see, right? So yeah, I feel a bunch of different ways. A couple of years ago, I created this program called Black Story, Black Song, which was actually ended up going out into the New Mexico public schools, where I got a bunch of local folks in 5-minute clips to just tell stories that went past the traditional ones that we know, just to tell deeper stories of science, of music, of art, of culture, of New Mexico Black history, speaking about Blackdom, and just telling stories that just don't really get shared as often. And so we created this for homeschoolers, for teachers, and it was really, really wonderful. And we're excited to do some more of that. Just, when people's ears are open to just say, okay, well, now that you're here, you should be here all the time, but now that you're here, here's some more information.
The more, the better. The more we know about the vast wealth of the structures all around us, just the look, the color of the dirt, the rocks, the architecture, the adobes, the villages, just the style and everything. It's so much seeped into it with original inhabitants, along with people that came long before and intermarried and intermixed, and
Yeah.
some disagreements happened along the way. And but I've heard some fascinating stories from the local people living in Santa Fe that have just knocked my socks off. I can't even believe how much history we're missing. But the people that have been here for multiple generations can tell us, from the people descendants from Mexico, the descendants from Spain, the Jewish descendants here, the African American descendants, and the indigenous, and somehow we all get just mixed in the story, and it's so much beauty. But really, to me, my goal is always no walls of separation. So I think that's what's so beautiful about living in Santa Fe. It feels like we have a little bit of everything, but it seems like more people are coming, so that's a good thing. I think that is a good thing. So when a few times that I've met you, you have a really gentle presence. Just makes me want to just sit back and sigh, take a deep breath and go, everything's going to be okay, Tosh. I mean, that's just the vibe I get from you. It's just, you have a real calming effect. But when I hear your music and your creative expression that comes through, you're empowering, you're fierce. Your stuff is loud, it's clear, and it's beautiful. Can you talk a little bit about that?
About the difference between the both?
Yeah, Yeah, because it almost feels like you meditate or something.
Yeah, it's that's such an interesting question, and it makes a lot of sense to me because I would say, my when I used to leave the house in the morning, every morning, my father would say, "Keep your eyes and your ears open and your mouth closed unless you have something to say." That was my dad would like every day, right? So it was always like, okay, just the whole like listen is twice as much as you talk thing was going on, right? And so I'm also just like naturally shy. And so, my true nature is wanting to hide under a table, in groups. But the culture of hip hop and the way that I feel empowered when I'm speaking through my music um, makes me feel the most proud, the most beautiful, the most honest, the most true. I want to speak with my whole body and my whole self. Um, and for some reason, I feel the most confident and okay when I'm doing my music. That's when I feel the most like full. As soon as I get off stage, as soon as I stop, I pause, then I get back into my human form where I'm like, oh, let me just, kind of settle into my body, into all things around me. And there's just always so much going on in this world, in the rooms that I'm in a lot of the spaces. There's so much energy, there's so much trauma, there's so much joy and passion. And I feel like I feel a lot of it. And so I just try to just breathe in and take breaths and not just react to anything in particular all at once. I try to just make sure I'm in right relationship and grounded and centered. So that's what's going on. And then music comes on and I'm jump on a stage and I'm ready to get reckless and like, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So my next question is, you're an awesome musician, and music takes practice. Music takes discipline. Music takes time. And I'm a musician too, if anybody doesn't know. But I've got my feet in all kinds of beautiful stuff that's passionate to me. And it's work, but it's fun. So how do you make time to honor that most sacred gift, the creative spirit inside of you that just wants to come out? But yet you got to go do this. You got to go. I mean, I don't even know what all you're doing on a global scale, on a national scale, on a local scale, and what you do for your spiritual well-being. I mean, that's a whole nother journey. How do you keep that creative flowering, flourishing happening?
I like I said, I came to this kind of world outside of being a touring musician late. So, I have decades in my bones of operating from instinct, from faith, and from spirit moving me, right? To write, to practice, to all the things. And so when things get hectic, it's more hard for me to not practice, to not write, to not um, create, So I have a lot of things to do. And, in the middle of my day and all of my things going on, I come in and I'll DJ. There's my DJ, my turntables are back there. I'll DJ and that's my meditation. Or I'll just make a beat on my beat machine and I'll write a rhyme just to get it out, just to get out and to feel like a human being again, because I don't like feeling disconnected, feeling like I need to do something that doesn't feel true to me. It makes me feel out of whack. And so that's actually one of my practices, to just feel back in my body, is just to make music or to write or to listen or to just be in a creative space. So yeah, it comes more natural than not. It's hard to not do those things, to not pause and dance in my living room, to not express in some way. It just feels like it has to come out, and I don't want to get too far away from that, especially in my role as executive director, because I think that that kind of creative practice needs to be in leadership positions. And I want people to see and know that leaders are professional and are creative, and not just creative in one way, but creative, in all ways. It's an art form, and I believe it should be in leadership. And so I want to make sure that as I grow into this position, that I bring my spirit, my ancestors, my joy, my creativity, all of it with me.
Wow. 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 You got to just make this happen. And you're making my energy come alive, just thinking about going in the studio and setting everything out and just jamming. Yeah, it's healing. It's really good. So I got a request. Is there any way you can give us a little taste of what's behind you? Just a little snippet? Like, can you do one of your little
Well, the thing is,
spontaneous?
I'd have to turn it all on, which would make me like disconnect and connect some things, because I had some other things going.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's not connected. I wish I could. It would take a while. I have to unplug and plug. You know how that goes when
yeah.
you plug in your keyboard and that means you unplugged your whatever. It's like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I saw a video interview the other day of a musician. I can't think of the name of him, but he was that big movement came in the 90s where they learned how to, you remember that Cher song that came out where that echo came in her voice and it almost sounded kind of robotic? If you believe in life after love,
Oh yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that song?
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole series going on Netflix. It's something about hip hop, but it talks about when that certain thing came into the whole sound and engineering rooms for musicians, and it was like kind of like a top secret, but it was almost like putting that special ingredient into the candy to make people want to eat more.
Yeah.
And Cher's song was one of those.
Oh.
And when that happened, it kind of changed everything in the music. And one band came in, and I can't remember the name. And then people said, well, he can't really sing. It's just all that, autocorrect. And he really can't sing. He's just like Milli Vanilli.
Right.
And he was just like, Crush, you might know who I'm talking about. And so he did one of those bookstore desktop videos they did.
Yes.
And then he didn't have any of that stuff with him. All he had was his keyboard player.
Mm-hmm.
So he mic'd up and did all that stuff. And he sang that song that hit the top of the charts in hip hop. And it went viral. And you know why it went viral? Because it didn't have any of those special effects stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the world got to hear him, that this guy can sing, man. He can hold a tune. He's pitch perfect. Yeah. And he was really insecure about it. He was like, oh man, this is gonna suck because it's not gonna come out the way people are hearing it. It's just gonna be flat, my voice. But he really pulled it off, and that just took him to another level. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, can you just give us a little short taste of one of your songs without anything turned on?
Oh yeah, let me think which one. Maybe the one we just heard, because I love doing that a cappella because it just makes me feel so good. Actually, I had a dream last night, and it kind of messed me up. I felt like Chris Parker because I couldn't wake up, and in it, every minute I was inhaling poison. I looked around the neighborhood, all the boys and girls when they ran, they stepped in cracked bottles and sand. The fruits on trees wasn't as good as groceries. Pesticides and hormones, it was put in our food. The FDA said it didn't affect the kids' attitudes, but the children got worse and started turning to thugs. To combat drugs, we started putting them on drugs. Stopped giving hugs, avoided eye contact. Being unfriendly to strangers was the way you're supposed to act. The people who had the most, contributed the least. Brutality by police was keeping the peace. Money ruled the world. We had overcrowded schools. People who didn't follow this way was labeled as fools. Bums, transients, homeless, and dropouts who lived separate from society, shunned by the masses. Cultures were wiped out, forests were demolished, species died off so the cog remained polished. Slavery got abolished, except technically in prison. Most were drug related. The drugs came from decisions that the government made, and the people got played, and the people got played, and the people got played. There, yeah.
That's some truth.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
some truth. Yeah, okay. Yeah, T-Pain. Yeah, that's right. That was T-Pain. Yes, 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 yes. And there's a beautiful sister that you met the other night, Sheila, who came to your opening, the chair of the performing arts at IAIA. And here's a question, statement from her. We need our histories integrated into a comprehensive curriculum that celebrates and acknowledges our stories and enduring survivance in contrast to settler colonialism. And that's from Dr. Sheila, who's on the show tonight. So what do you think about that?
I think Sheila's absolutely right. Yes, absolutely right. I'm so excited to know Sheila more. It was nice to meet the other night. But yeah, I think we need more of our history. We need more of it in the open. We need more of it easily accessible to everyone and taught in different ways. Like I said, one of the reasons I love music is because it taught me different from how my teachers taught me in school. And at that moment, I wasn't ready necessarily to have it told to me the way my teachers were telling it. I needed it the way that it came in music, and sometimes the way it comes in art and in poetry and in film. I say giving those lessons in as many different ways as possible is just beautiful.
Yeah. So what do you say to the up and coming? And when I say up and coming, I could be talking about an 85, a 61, a 49, a 21, or a 7-year-old. What do you say to that age group that wants to do something that you're doing, creating words with prosody, with rhythm, without maybe having instruments accessible to them, without having training accessible to them? What do you say to those hungry people? Me being one of them.
I'd say that the most beautiful thing about each of us is we have our own story to tell, and it's so unique. There is no competition because there's no other you, and your story is needed. You know, a lot of times we think our stories are so singular, and they are, but they're also, you know, we as humans are so closely connected, and our stories really resonate, and the way that we tell them hit different people, you know? So I just say that please keep going and share yourself, express yourself. One of the reasons I love hip hop so much is when I travel, most of the time I'm meeting with people who don't have access. There's no music programs. There's no instruments. There's nothing, right? And so I show up, and usually the first thing I do is and then I'll be like, and then they'll start singing or they'll start rapping, and we start hugging and we start laughing. You know, you don't need instruments to do that type of expression. At least, you know, to gather, which was how I learned in this. It was they called ciphers, right? Where everyone would gather in a space on a street corner, in a basement, on a rooftop, in a park, and you just gather in a circle and you cipher and you share ideas. And there's someone who's with beatboxing, and you share, and that kind of community, that kind of freedom is, and that kind of expression is what I'm excited to hear from whoever is looking to express, right? I want to hear what joy, what passion, what pain, what trauma, what energy they have, and we all need it. So please do it.
Thank you for sharing that. I find it really interesting what bonds people to music, with music, in music, together or in solitude, driving or being alone with the AirPods on at the gym. And a lot of it is trauma. A lot of it is heartbreak. A lot of it is loss. And I think that's really interesting that those stories are the ones that hit the top. And the only thing that I can think of is maybe it makes us feel like we're not so alone in this.
Mhm.
Maybe my voice is not so small after all. Maybe more people can relate to my own quiet pain, but I get to hear it in your voice, in your song, and genre of style. Thank you so much for sharing that, Raashan, about the hip hop, because there's a whole history in that you could educate us about. Where did that get started? Who started it? Why did it get started? And what was it called when it first got started? What was that genre called?
Mhm.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, I think when it first started, well, it started in New York in the late 70s and early 80s. It definitely came out of the lack of music programmings in the schools there. It came out of the gangs that were fighting and the folks who wanted to have a different way to settle their arguments, which turned into breakdancing and battling in that way.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and it started, for mostly Blacks and Latinos in the Bronx, in the South Bronx to be specific, at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue to be specific.
Ah,
It was a party. It was a back to school party that was thrown in the basement of a rec room, which was one of the projects there. And this party was the first time that you had the four official elements of hip hop: DJing, breakdancing, graffiti writing, and MCing in the same party, sharing that. They marked that to be the birthplace of hip hop. Last year was actually the 50th year of hip hop to celebrate that exact party. Um, but it's a beautiful, wonderful culture, which is a community culture. The folks would gather in the parks and they bring their speakers and they'd break dance and they'd MC and they just express themselves. And people would bring black books and they'd draw murals. And it was just an expression from folks, from teenagers, that birthed this worldwide movement that now is in every corner of the globe. It's a beautiful, beautiful culture, and rap is one of the elements of that culture. So hip hop is a culture. Rap is, yeah, like one of my heroes, Karis, once says, "Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live." Right. So when I say and speak about hip hop culture, I'm not necessarily speaking around about rappers or rapping, right? I'm speaking about the culture of hip hop, which is a culture of community, of love, peace, love, unity, respect, right? These are the foundations of hip hop culture, right? And so community is one of them. So the work that I do in Santa Fe is all based in my culture of hip hop. The whole thing, of how I want to gather, how I think about making sure it's inclusive, how I want to make sure that we are dancing and enjoying ourselves. It's all a part of of hip hop culture and what it's taught me. It's really one of the things that I say has really raised me and saved my life amongst a bunch of my people. But yeah, it's one of the most beautiful cultures in the world, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I got this song going in my head, a hit, but I'll stop right there. I wonder if Sugar Hill Gang was at that party. But yeah, it says Sugar Hill made it to the Navajo Nation, believe it or not. I mean, I was a kid doing it, doing it with the basketball, the moves, I was watching that Saturday show with that guy with the big old afro. What was it called?
Soul Train,
Soul Train. And I was like
Don
trying to
Cornelius.
copy the moves so I could. Oh, speaking of moves and copying, I want to talk to you about cultural appropriation, man. Everybody's like copying you guys. But you know what? We don't have time for that right now. Let's do that for another show. I do want to talk about that. So, our theme this year for our program is ancestrality. They whisper me through. Think about that for a minute. Ancestrality. They whisper me through. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that means to me that just that reminds me of all the people that I walk with. I walk with my ancestors daily and have an altar and communicate with them and in conversation and seek guidance from them often, the ones that I know and the ones that I don't know, right? Many times, especially, I've had so many difficult moments where I'm either going to perform in front of, the biggest crowd and I'm so nervous or scared, or I'm going to walk into a room with people who are quote unquote powerful from different cultures, and I just feel like I'm ill-equipped, right? And I call my ancestors to whisper me through, like, just help me through this. I call them by name. I call them by just by spirit that I don't even know. And every time they show up, it just makes it's just I'm like, okay, I got this. I got this. I feel so seen and kept. So yeah, I really rely on that guidance and on that love from my ancestors. It's I don't know how I'd live my life without them.
And that brings me to say one last thing. People got to keep going. We just got to keep going, and we just got to think about our ancestors, what they went through so that we could still be here. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to the gorgeous Elena.
Thank you so much, Tash. And thank you so much, Ashan. It's been really beautiful getting to know you over the short period of time and just listening to you. And your walk has been really inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing that with us in the segment here. What's going to happen now is we just go into the commercial break, which I am very happy to do. And then we're going to invite all our audiences back who may want to ask you any questions or anything like that. So what we have happening is next month, same time, same channel, same place, we have the beautiful Mary Jane Bird, who will be blessing us in the Wisdom Circle March the 20th. And she is the first Pueblo dancer that went nationally. She is from Awinge Pueblo, is the founder director of Arts of the Blue Horizon Dance and Storytelling, which is a blend of ballet and modern dance with American Indian dance, storytelling, and American Sign Language. So that's who's going to be blessing us next month. So we'll look forward to seeing you, whether you're coming in on social media or here live through Zoom, or you're watching the archives. Thank you so much. We kicked off this Wisdom Circle April 2020, and so we've had over 200 presenters, including Raashan, who you've just seen. They're all archived in our library, where you can go to the Indigenous Ways the IndigenousWays.org, and there you'll be able to see our video archives. If you want to share Raashan's video, please do. The link will be in there in the next 48 hours. And also below me, you'll see all of the social media whizzing past. So if you're on social media, please like or subscribe to any of our pages. And then you can also go into our website if you want to go join our newsletters of all the amazing things that's happening. All of our virtual events are free and have ASL interpreters, making access available to all. We would want to take this opportunity not only to thank the National Endowment of the Arts, the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department, as well as the Santa Fe Community Foundation, the Native American Advice Funds, for making this program possible. And also a big thank you to our board and also all our individual donors making this possible. Please save the date, which is Friday, May 3rd, Saturday, June 8th, and August, which is a Friday, August the 16th, which is the start of Indian Market. We have our Indigenous Ways Festival. We're very excited about that, with the amazing artists that we'll have. If you want to know more about that, go to our website, IndigenousWays.org. But we'll be sharing about that in the coming months through the Wisdom Circle. And if you have got, if you're able to donate, we've got PayPal, Venmo, at our website. We've got a donate there, or you can snail mail to keep us going. And so on that wonderful note, it's usually that time where we invite our audiences, if you're able to turn on your videos, and you'll see those in the top left-hand corner. So we welcome you, because that's that wonderful time of, if you want to ask Raashan something, here he is, international DJ extraordinaire. And even some of the things that he shared tonight, you might want to ask, or just say g'day. So on that note, I'm just going to turn it back to you, Tash.
Right on. Yes, this is wonderful. Okay, so we got a wonderful show tonight from Raashan. And anybody want to go ahead and be brave and say something out loud? Just go ahead and unmute your microphone and give it up for Raashan and ask any question you want. We've got about 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I love your term creative leadership. It just sparked a fire in me, and we all have many stories to tell. I'm a historian. I run a business. I'm going to start making money from the music that I make, but this creative leadership is fabulous. Thank you for that.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thanks.
Thanks for saying so.
Yeah, this is Sheila. Raashan, it's good to see you again. Hey, Elena. Thanks, Tosh, for doing such a great job of hosting, and Raashan for your presence tonight. I just want to find out, when are we going to start collaborating, brother? Because there's a lot of work to do. There are stories.
Hold on.
to tell,
We're in line.
spoken word to do. Yeah, I'm just excited. This is good stuff. And I want to thank you all so much for keeping the magic continuing here in Santa Fe. It's just going to get better and better. So, Wopi la tanka.
Yeah, Sheila.
Thank you,
All
Sheila.
right.
I'm so looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it too. I'm reaching out soon, or reach out to me. Let's definitely connect. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I really do appreciate the vitality and the vigor and the imagination and the hard work that you've been doing to make this space available, the virtual space that you were talking about, and for the community. I mean, I'm just amazed, and I do appreciate that for the community. And thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for giving me an insight of a little bit of your life. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
I do want to say that you've inspired some very small towns doing work with youth in the way that you present your art and music and spoken word. And so your inspiration is up here in the Northeast Kingdom, that known in as so-called Vermont. and we're inspired. So thank you so much for posting on YouTube and places where people can see. So thank you. I really enjoyed this program. You guys really rock. Thank you for your inspiration always.
Thank you both. Thanks, everybody. And I just want to give a shout out and thank you so much, Raashan. What you do is vital. So I think it's apt that you're an ED of vital spaces, because that's what you create for all of us and connect us in ways that we do feel seen and kept. And I just love how you said that. So just keep on going, and thank you. Thank you. And also thanks for taking me back to Oaktown. I always appreciate that. But then I love how you bring it forward and also, pass it forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Tressa.
Thank you so much for that. I want to just take this time to thank each and every one of you for making this time and this space, whether that be live virtually or you're watching the recording of this amazing Raashan Ahmad, who's just given us a little bit of a snippet of amazing excitement of the extraordinary work he's been doing, but more importantly, the selfless service of giving back to community. So thank you for that incredible wisdom with us. Also, I want to thank our two interpreters. We have Crescesiano Garcia as well as Mariah Garcia, not related, but beautiful last names, making access available for all with the sign language interpreting. We'll look forward to seeing each and every one of you. Bring a friend as well, which is next month, March the 20th, Wednesday, the third Wednesday of each month at the Wisdom Circle. Same time, same channel with the amazing Mary Jane Bird. But apart from that, let's give a big shout, hoot, and holler for the one and only Raashan.
Touch the earth.